All right, fantastic. I'm going to I do this every time to Mike. I've followed him a few times. Just going to lift that microphone up a bit, buddy. There we go. I'm going to utilize some technology. Now, look, this is really great. I'm glad I have a chance to get up and speak to you folks tonight. This is pretty fantastic. I had some really good remarks that I spent some time preparing. You know, I sat down and figured I wouldn't just wing it like the Commerce Secretary over there and make everybody laugh. That's pretty good, though. But, you know, when I walked in, there was all this energy around the young folks here that are really taking the role and the lead and figuring out how we're actually going to do this tomorrow, right? And so when these guys came up and these girls came up and they stood here in front of us and they talked a little bit about what they're working on and what they were proud on, first of all, I want to commend everyone that spoke from that young group. I mean, I tell you what, I can't get in front of this many folks and not feel a little bit nervous, but you guys just grabbed that microphone and just railed away, and it was perfect. So that was absolutely incredible. So, I mean, really, it was just amazing to watch. It's amazing to see the stuff out here that you're actually building. I had a chance to connect with Ed Mullen a little while ago, and I gave him a quick tour of City Garage when it was a lot further behind than it is today. And I immediately thought back to this book that I had written. I think a lot of folks have probably heard of it. It's called The Boy in the Boat, right? Is that what it is, the old Rose story? And maybe think about this young group of these engineers, men and women, young folks that are going out and competing on a national scale and winning, right? They're coming from these areas that may not have had all the advantages that some folks have had in different parts of the country, but they're still building the stuff. They're going out there, and they're winning. And it's inspiring. It's amazing, right? And you know, I love talking about Port Covington. We've heard about a lot of things tonight. We've heard a lot of different aspects and avenues around manufacturing, and I'm going to spend some time talking about that because that's what Mike Galeazzo pretty much told me to do. So I'll do that. So I'll come back to some prepared remarks that I have and really just say that, you know, at Plank Industries, manufacturing is something that's really near and dear to our hearts, right? You know, my boss, Kevin Plank, this guy that founded Under Armour, I mean, that's where that company started. It was a product company. You know, I spend a lot of time looking at all kinds of different investments for him, and some of it admittedly is in the cyberspace or in the big data space, and none of that really has the same, I don't know, feel that a product company has. Those companies have a lot of challenges. You know, when you look around at all these incubators that folks had talked about before, I mean, a lot of support exists if you want to write an app or if you want to create another big data solution, and that's fantastic. That's going to create great jobs in the region. It's going to bring a lot of wealth and a lot of growth to the economy. But the support that exists for a 22-year-old football player that's got an idea for a better T-shirt, it's pretty much the same that it's been for a really long time. So one of the things that we focused on inside Port Covington was building something that could be an innovation center focused on supporting that kind of entrepreneur, right? And I get a chance to travel around a bit, and one of my favorite cities that I like to talk about is Detroit. They share a lot of our hardship, a lot of our history. It's a city that's seen good times and it's seen some bad times. I think it's on the rise right now. And I was walking through, you know, one of my favorite companies next to Towson Watch Company now called Shinola, and they had this sign on the wall that said, "There's a funny thing that happens when you build factories in this country, and it's called jobs." And it's true. And these aren't just jobs that only a select few can achieve, but where we look at manufacturing going today, it's the ability for people to enter in at the lowest level, but then have a clear line of sight to advanced jobs, to jobs at some point where they can actually run the organization. It's really, really cool, and it's no accident that the first project that we actually built in Port Covington, I know that's a really cool public service announcement, gets everybody kind of pumped up, but there's stuff happening there right now. I'll spend a little bit of time talking about the things that are real. And the first project that we chose to focus on there was this thing called City Garage. And it's this adaptive reuse of an old building that the city used to call the Baltimore City Central Automotive Repair Garage. I'm pretty lazy, so I just shrunk that down to City Garage. And it's pretty incredible. So, you know, we could have built residential buildings first. We could have built some retail. We could have built some commercial stuff. Some things that would initially drive some quick revenue to kind of replenish the old checkbook. We've been a lot of outgoing funds and not a lot of incoming so far, but Instead, we really focused on trying to build something that was kind of special for the community, a place that folks like a 22-year-old football player could come, and if they had an idea for a great product, we can give them the support they needed. So one of those things, the first concept in this idea of City Garage, and there's really three main concepts inside it that focus on inventing and creating a new product, developing or growing that product, and then finally producing or manufacturing that product right here in Maryland and around the world, right? And so the Foundry, we heard it mentioned before, it's actually this 20,000 square foot, give or take, playground for people that want to make stuff, all right? We've got every tool inside there to work with wood, metal, glass, textiles, fabrics, whatever you want. I've already talked to Ed. We're going to get some folks out there, especially the young folks, to come out there and use some of the stuff and play around. I heard CNC machines. We've got like 4 of those things. Water jets, all kinds of great stuff. We can build any of the stuff that you've got out here. We can make it 10 times better, which is great. And if these young people are, in my case, this 22-year-old football player that wants to make a better T-shirt decides that they are going to take that and actually make a run at producing a company, right? They're going to go for it. They're going to start selling this product. Well, we've got this really cool thing we call Main Street. So Main Street, if you haven't seen it, inside this building is the place where the brake shop and the paint booths and the tire shop and all these other supportive assets that used to help repair these buses, that's where that all took place. And it's all connected by this huge corridor that's about 200 feet long, 40 feet wide. And it serves as a sort of connective tissue for all these different companies that now reside around it, right? One of them we mentioned, Ready Robotics. I haven't had a chance to meet Drew yet, but we'll get a chance to talk. It's a really, really interesting place. It's a place where there's robots that are figuring out how to make manufacturing processes more efficient, make them more effective. A place where, a great cultural addition to the team, Bustin' Boards, saved the company from going to Australia, and we brought them right here to Baltimore, Maryland. So all these folks, they exist, and it's an opportunity for them to share a lot of these resources, to get together after work. They can spill out into Main Street and have a conversation, share ideas, trials and tribulations of running a company. Sometimes we double it to do things like this. Every once in a while, we'll bring people together inside. We'll have a little conversation. We've done that a few times. But it's an interesting place. It's a really, really cool community we've created. So we've got, on one hand, this place called the Foundry, where young folks and all folks of all different types can come in there in droves, high touch, high traffic engagement with folks in the community. You can build, create, invent whatever you want. If you don't know how to do it, walk through the door. There's lots of smart people in there, much smarter than me, that know how to do it. They'll show you how to weld, cut things, make things, use these very expensive machines. And then if you want to make it into a product, there you go. Come over to Main Street and you can meet other folks like you, right? And you can make a run at creating the next Under Armour, which would be great. This place could actually use it. It'd be fantastic. So the one thing I'll kind of leave with is the third piece of City Garage, which I'm incredibly excited about, and it's something that Under Armour's been working on for quite a while, and it's this thing called Project Lighthouse. And for a few folks that'll get through, we'll make sure you get a chance to see it, but it's incredible, right? And so what they're really doing is they looked at the existing model, the model that took all of our manufacturing and shifted it overseas many, many decades ago. And that model has been the same since the 1920s and even before. It's highly labor intensive, it's not automated, it's dangerous, it's tiresome, it's very inefficient, and it makes okay products, but we can make products a lot better. So what if, instead of a 1 million square foot factory that you have somewhere overseas, or even here for that matter, that makes millions of units of something and then places them on a container ship over a production cycle of 12 to 18 months and ships them all throughout the world, what if instead of that, you shrunk that down to 40,000 square feet? You made the process highly automated, you made it replicable, and you stamped that out all over the world, and then you made local products for local markets. You could adjust the speed to market from months or years to just days or weeks. You could react to climate change, different changes in weather, different cultural desires. But most importantly, you could actually make products locally and create local jobs. You could have that connection with the people that made something for you and not have to pay the premium that we have to pay today for something to be made locally. That's what they're working on. It's pretty cool. It's actually getting ready to get up and running. I don't want to steal too much of their thunder, but it's really neat to see. And when we figure that out, that's going to be what repatriates the jobs, right? It's going to be these young folks that build stuff like this, companies like Ready Robotics that are figuring out ways to make processes more efficient, to make it actually economically viable to bring back. And so I know I'm probably almost the last person. I have had a really great time following up all of this stuff. I had to follow the kids atop everything else. But I'll just leave you with this little comment. I see the future of manufacturing as something where, like I said before, someone can enter at the most entry-level position and one day be running the operation, right? And we can accomplish this through continued innovation on design, development, and the process of manufacturing. By creating a process where humans are used to make decisions and not perform repetitive tasks to keep us relying on the old, highly labor-intensive ways of the past. The future of manufacturing was written here a couple hundred years ago, and it's being written here again today. And that wasn't actually my line of the thing. I just really believe that we're seeing these folks tonight. So I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
All right. Michael Raphael from Direct Dimensions is a longtime RMI RMI member, and Michael and I have done many projects together, including 3D printing. And Michael surprised me tonight with a gift for Demian, Mr. Technology here in the future manufacturing. It's a full body scan of Demian and a 3D print model. So Demian, there you go. You can look at yourself every day. And thank you so much,
yeah,
Demian.
I appreciate it, Mike. Thank you.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, I got to do something about the, we got to talk about the scan here. This stomach is not correct. It's a little out there. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.